Hey everyone, it's Mike. I just wanted to come on real quick and let you know that this episode does contain vulgar language. So if you are not interested in that type of language or uh, easily get offended by that type of language, this might not be the episode for you. But we appreciate you if you do continue to listen. If not, that's completely fine. We'll see you next week. Thanks. We're going to be deep diving into the NFL, going to be taking a look at every single division and predict every single team's record.
I think they're one of my favorites to win the Super Bowl this year.
This team, that offense does not excite me. I think the offense continues to regress.
It's going to be Mahomes versus Russ for the MVP. And if you disagree, you're wrong. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the WNP podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson, and joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Crawshaw. How you doing today, Chase?
Doing swell as always. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing very well, and today we brought along someone new, a friend of ours that is a Tom Brady fan. This is the AFC South or the AFC
No, he's
NFC
not a
South.
Tom Brady fan. He's a Tom Brady die-hard K-pop level type stan.
He's the only guy I would fuck.
All right, perfect.
out.
Perfect introduction for yours truly, Davey Lester. How you doing, Davey?
I'm glad to be here. How are you guys doing?
Doing very well,
Fantastic.
and it's going to be fun this episode because obviously Davey, it's his first time being on the show, so Chase and I, we're going to do our best to just bully him off of the show for forever.
Yep.
You ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready for that. You
Okay,
gotta
perfect.
carry me. I'm a fucking noob.
I mean,
I can't swear, right? Or,
well, like, kind of.
okay,
I mean,
I'll stop saying F-bombs then.
yeah. So,
Makes
so
things easier.
I'll make it easier on you in post, yeah.
I mean, the first thing we'll do right off the bat is just make fun of Davey for bringing over paper instead of
I'm old
his
school.
laptop. He came over, said he felt like Colin Coward. Obviously, that's not a good feeling, but hey, we'll give it to him. So, like I said, AFC and NFC South episode. We're going to leave the NFC for last this time. We usually go NFC first. However, we're going to leave it for last this time because we know you're going to have a lot to say about Tom Brady. And I feel like the AFC South is the worst division of the two as well. So we'll hop right into our AFC South. Davey, we'll have you start first. Who is first place in your AFC South?
Well, I got the Titans first place.
And what's their record?
10-6.
10-6 for the Titans. Any thoughts on why they will be 10-6? What do you like about them?
Well, I just like their offensive line for sure. I love Derrick Henry a lot. And that division, I think it's very weak. I'm not a big fan of the Texans for sure. I don't like Bill O'Brien at all, the head coach. And then they lost the big weapon in D-Hop for sure.
Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, Chase. Your thoughts on first place in this division?
So I actually have the Texans at first place with the same record as the Titans at 10-6. Like
You-
same
you
record
would be
as
different.
Davies Titans, I should
Yeah.
say. So I don't have them there. You'll hear where they are. So I just look at this division, and yeah, as you mentioned, it does not thrill me. It is very weak. There's one superstar quarterback in this division. The others are solid to not that, or like the other three, I should say, really. So I'm banking on the superstar quarterback doing enough. I think Deshaun Watson has enough to really win his team 5, 6, 7 games, like work just truly on his back. And then the other 5 games can just come from his team performing well enough, and that's a 10-6. Not an impressive win of the division, but enough to get it done.
Okay, very interesting. My first place team, I'm going to have to agree with Davey, even though I hate to do that. The Tennessee Titans at 10-6 as well. Obviously, I'm not the biggest Tennessee Titans fan. I think we've known that since we started the show. Ryan Tannehill, very underwhelming quarterback. I don't think he's very good. Definitely bottom half of the league, at least in my opinion. Then we look at Derrick Henry. Obviously, I've talked about my distaste for Derrick Henry. I'll admit, he had a great season last year, but he's not going to do that again. Maybe he gets close, but obviously he's going to regress. If he doesn't, then maybe he's the best running back in the league, but I can tell you he's not that. I don't think he's even a top 5 running back in the league. When it comes to stacking the box and putting him, let's say, at the 5-yard line trying to score a touchdown, I'll definitely take him top 5. But when it comes to overall running back game, doesn't sniff my top 5. So, obviously, not as high on the Titans as some of our other friends. So luckily, they're not on the show, so they don't get to say that the Titans are going 14-2.
Thank God.
But, yeah, I think the Titans are probably the most well-rounded team, which is kind of sad to say because this division isn't very good at all.
No, it's probably the weakest division in the league, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. Except for maybe the NFC North because they got the Lions in there.
Kick rocks, honestly.
All right, Davey, let's go to your second place team. Who you got?
I got the Texans, obviously, going 8-8. And I mean, so to be on Deshaun Watson's back, it's the only thing they have. So it's really hard.
Chase, your second?
Second, Tennessee Titans, of course. I mean, those two teams, I assume, are everyone's top two teams.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Yikes.
Really?
Okay, well, I'm going to continue. But
Hey, what else?
I have the Titans at 7-9. I think Ryan Tannehill is, as Mike said, a bottom half league quarterback.
Yeah.
Last year, even with his low numbers, like he had the 82-yard game in the playoffs. Like he had a lot of those types of games where he just let Derrick Henry do everything. Teams are going to be able to control that. Not a ton, because Derrick Henry's still the hardest guy in the league probably to tackle, but they're going to be able to control it a little bit more. They're going to scheme differently, set up the box differently. And Ryan Tannehill was ridiculously efficient last year. Those efficiency numbers are going to drop as he's going to have to throw the ball a little more, be a little more in the game, and he's just a mediocre talent when it comes to the quarterback position. It's going to be enough where the team's going to struggle offensively. Not like heavily struggle, but enough to the point where the defense isn't going to do enough, and the team's just going to float around that 500% and be below for me.
Yeah, and I agree with the fact that you said Tannehill's going to have to throw more. I forgot to mention it when I was talking about the Titans and Derrick Henry's regression this year. I think they're going to face a lot of 8-man boxes, and that's obviously going to upset his production. We saw the Kansas City Chiefs were able to shut him down in the playoffs, so I think a lot of teams are going to be looking at that as well.
I just got to say, though, for a fantasy perspective, even though I'm not the high on Tannehill, if you have A.J. Brown or you have a draft coming up and A.J. Brown is getting close to being available for you, I think you'd be stupid not to take him because he is the one passing game option in that offense. So if they're going to throw the ball, he could be a top 5, top 10 targeted receiver in the league easily. And last year he was ridiculously efficient. That's going to drop a little bit too.
Yeah, for sure.
But still, with the sheer volume that he could really get, it could be just asinine numbers.
Yeah, the crazy thing with A.J. Brown, he only had 52 catches, but had a ton of yards and a good amount of touchdowns just because his yards per catch, I think, rated top 5 in the league, which is crazy. But moving on to my second place team, I have the Indianapolis Colts at 9-7.
Yikes.
Now, let me tell you why. The Indianapolis Colts last year were 7-9. They had Jacoby Brissett as their starting quarterback. Terrible. He's now their backup, obviously. And they also had some injuries and a lot of young players. They've got a lot of young talent on this team. What did they do this offseason? They add DeForest Buckner, one of the best young defensive linemen in the league. They still have an amazing offensive line. They add Phillip Rivers, who has been a very good quarterback over his career. Last year, he had a very bad year.
Brutal.
However, I think most of that, I'm not going to say all of that, but most of the reason he had such a bad year is because obviously he's very immobile, as well as the Chargers have a terrible line. I think the Colts have a top 5 offensive line in the league. I think if he's safe, he can do some stuff with the newly added weapons like Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman. So they're only winning 2 more games than last year, even though they added, I think, a ton of weapons.
See, I mean, we'll get to my Colts evaluation soon. But
Yikes! You got the Colts 4-12, dude.
no, I don't have a 4-12. But I'm not sold on Phillip Rivers anymore. I know he had that rough offensive line working for him last year, going to a much better situation. But the receiving options here, they're fine. T.Y. Hilton's still good, but he's going down. Yeah, he's injury prone and he's going down. Paris Campbell, you're hoping for a lot. Second year, you're hoping for a lot out of rookie.
Though.
Yeah, Pittman's awesome, and he could easily have that possibility of being the best rookie receiver this year, just based on sheer volume. But it's still a rookie receiver. You don't know. And then the tight end game is just
great. Trey Burton and Jack Doyle.
Yeah. So this team offensively just doesn't not do a lot to throw me. I really like the running backs. I like Marlon Mack. I don't love him as a talent, but with that offensive line, he still can easily rush for 1,000 yards. Jonathan Taylor as a rookie is still going to get the attempts. He's not going to be the guy like he could have been on a lot of other teams, but he still could easily have an 800 rushing yard season. This could be a top end rushing yard team. but I just have a really bad feeling about the passing game for some reason.
That's one thing that I look at the Colts a lot with is the overall talent. When you look at it, it's not amazing. They don't have stars everywhere, even though they have a ton of cap space. They just haven't really been able to capitalize on the free agency moves. They have done very nice in the draft, obviously. They added those 2 nice offensive weapons. They got Quentin Nelson in the draft, a couple other amazing players too. But when you look at the team overall, it's not stunning. But I feel like that's this whole division.
No, that's fair.
All right, Davey, let's move on to your third place team. I'm sorry, first, did the Texans make the playoffs for you at the 2 seed in that division?
No.
No, they did not. Chase, the Titans did not make. Okay.
7-9. No.
All right.
7-9.
And then I got the Colts going 5-11. Like Chase, I'm not a big fan of Phillip Rivers either. I do love their running backs. Like obviously, like you said, the offensive line stellar. I like them fantasy wise. I don't like them to win games though.
I agreed.
I don't know how they get worse when all they did was get better in the offseason.
I mean,
if Tom went there, they'd be fucking really good. But sorry.
Who?
Tom Brady.
So should I move on to my number 4 team, who was the Indianapolis Colts? Then yes, they're my number 4.
You're number 4?
They are. So I'll
I forgot you like the Jaguars that much.
That's terrible.
So the Colts are 5-11 also for me, but I'm gonna talk about them really quick since it's really just on topic.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, how I just don't like that offense, and really when it comes down to it, I look at their schedule and like. I don't like their matchups. On the road, I have them going 1-7. If you're going 1-7 on the road, you're not making the playoffs at any point unless you go undefeated at home, and still that's like pretty iffy. This team, they don't have like an extremely hard schedule, but they just don't have matchups that I really like. Like even at home, for example, let's see a game. So like they're playing Minnesota at home week 2. Like I don't think it's a game they have much chance in. When it comes to Baltimore week 9, another game I don't think they have much chance in. They just have these unfortunate matchups, and then on the road with COVID stuff, I'm just discounting a lot of teams on the road. Mm-hmm. I give a heavy advantage to home teams, but their home matchups just are not ideal in my opinion. So really when it comes down to it, just this Colts team I think is going to disappoint in terms of like an NFL standards, but they could be a very nice, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Very nice fantasy relevant team.
I don't know. They have, by far, in my opinion, the best coach in the division. And look at the Colts the last 2 years. I think 2 years ago they went like 8-8 or 9-7. Last year they went 7-9. They're hovering around even with a very lackluster team when it comes to talent. Now you give the best coach in this division more talent. I think that's improvement.
And remember, Hot Takes episode, I believe it was your hot take. You said the Colts using all 3 quarterbacks this year?
Yeah.
And I heavily, I really firmly believe that's very much possible. And I think it's going to be a result of Phillip Rivers flopping. So, 5-11, if your hot take comes true, this will be a 5-11 type team.
Who are their quarterbacks besides Brissett?
Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, Jacob Eason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they spent decent,
Yeah,
not like
I
amazing,
heard
but decent.
that past podcast. I remember you guys talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listen. I'm a listener.
Nice. Hey, if you're a listener, maybe we'll get you on next.
Actually, leave a comment and we'll see what we can do.
For sure. All right, let's move on to my third place team. The Titans and the Colts both made playoffs for me. The Colts got that very last spot. But the third place team, obviously the Houston Texans. I've got them at 7-9. Absolutely love Deshaun Watson, but this team is a mess. They have one of the worst secondaries in the league. We've watched it just get absolutely torched every single year. They lose Jadeveon Clowney last year, and J.J. Watt is just a liability because of all of his injuries. Obviously a great player on the field, but and then they lose all of their offensive weapons too because Bill O'Brien is just stupid. I love Deshaun Watson. I think he is a great quarterback. I have him in my top 10. However, there was also question marks about his, sustainability and being able to stay away from the injury when he was coming into the league. And
he's done fine since then. I'm just saying.
What's that?
He's done pretty fine since coming to the league, though.
But their offensive line still isn't great.
Oh, it is.
And now he doesn't have any weapons.
No, see, he doesn't have the DeAndre Hopkins type of weapon, but David Johnson once, so many years ago.
One season, though.
Yeah, he had that one season of great production.
He's going to break his wrist or something the first game.
Oh, probably. He's going to step on the field and tear his ACL. But, if he stays healthy, this is the type of offense where he could go back, not to being like a running back one in terms of fantasy, but like he could be a guy who is very helpful to that offense. Brandon Cooks, even though if he gets breathed on, he like dies because of his concussion history, like he's still one of the best talents at wide receiver in the league. So there is that potential. Will Fuller is another.
Not one of the best, but
Just go look at his production.
I do like Will Fuller a lot.
Numbers don't lie.
He's a fucking
numbers
guy.
The numbers don't lie with Brandon Cooks. Will Fuller is another guy I mentioned that I like. Like the receiving core is fine. I'd say it's above average. The running backs, if they can perform, it can help really sustain that team. And I think the offense can just get enough done, even with the defense being horrible. They have the benefit of playing the other three teams in their division twice a year.
the problem here is you are betting on basically four Tyler Eiferts to stay healthy. Will Fuller, injured every single year. Brandon Cooks, injured every single year. Kiki Kuti, injured every single year. David Johnson, injured every single year except for
like the first 2 years.
the season he went off.
And I just got to say, like, why doesn't Duke Johnson ever get the chance? He's been one of the most efficient running backs in the league, and he just never gets the opportunity. So maybe if David Johnson does go down, Duke Johnson has his, like, breakout he's been waiting for 5 years.
I thought that running back room was the most impressive part of that team outside of D. Hops and Deshaun Watson last year with Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson. But they decided they'd have to address it more.
They traded, a third-round pick for Duke Johnson a couple years ago and just have not ever given him the chance. Like, why waste a draft capital if you're never going to use the guy? Maybe this is finally the year because David Johnson will probably end up dying on the field. So, you got to be kind of optimistic. I don't trust Bill O'Brien, obviously, but I just trust Deshaun Watson too much.
I just don't think he can push them over that hump. I mean, 7-9 is still a great record for a team with no weapons whatsoever.
What do you have them at in the division?
4-2.
I'm at 5-1 in the division. Okay.
Yeah, so I've got them beating the Jags both times and then splitting with Tennessee and Indianapolis.
Okay.
I've got Tennessee, Indianapolis, and Houston all 4-2 in the division, and then the Jags 0-6. All right, Davey, let's talk about your fourth place team. That's obviously going to be the Jags. What are your thoughts on them?
I got them 3-13. I know you love your boy Gardner Minshew, but I don't.
I love him enough. I don't love him where he's like
their
a top
defense took a
quarterback.
huge hit last year. Their defense is nowhere near where it was when they made the championship game. Don't like it.
Especially because Yannick Ngakoue is holding out. I mean, he did fire his agent, but he still wants out of Jacksonville. So they don't have a lot of talent there. Chase, let's hear about your number 3 team, the Jags.
Yeah. So I have them at 6-10. So like 2, 3, and 4 are 7, 9, 6, 10, 5, 11 in this division. So they're all like the same team. So either one could easily flip flop, in my opinion. This Jags team, they have the right players on offense to like actually do some damage. The offensive line is a little bit lackluster.
I hate Fournette.
I like Fournette. I think Fournette has a lot of talent, but he just has really struggled with efficiency. Last year he had a great year. I'd expect some regression because like he's not going to see the amount of targets he did last year. So I'd expect him to regress a little bit. But at the same time, I really like that receiver room. I think D.D. Westbrook could have a Devontae Parker type season finally. Gardner Minshew, if you look at it, he was like in terms of efficiency and throwing the ball and like touchdown interception ratio, he was the best rookie quarterback last year, which it doesn't sound like he would be because like he does seem kind of underwhelming, but he was, and he can run the ball too. He can help manage the game the right way. He can still throw for 250 yards in a game, get a couple touchdowns, enough to the point where the running game and the passing game are going to be too hard to guess. Not like too hard to guess, but like hard enough to guess, not to the point where they're just going to be like walked around on the league. But I do agree the defense is horrible. I think they lose games because their defense this year. I think this offense has a chance to like be top half. I don't think it's impossible, but the defense is going to be so bad that it's just going to kill them.
And you're saying that's 6-10.
I'm saying that's 6-10. Yeah, the offense is enough to be 6-10.
Right.
I have them going 2-4 in the division as well, so there's 2 wins in the division.
Well, my Jags are 2-14.
No chance.
They go 0-6 in the division, like I said earlier on.
I would bet on that.
And that is, let's split it down the middle, 4. I'll take under 4. You take over 4.
Okay, then if it hits 4, is it just a push?
Yeah.
Sure, we can do that. $10
right. Easy money.
How about 20?
20, why not?
Sure. Okay, so here's the thing with the Jags. Obviously, their defense is terrible. And if you go back to our predictions last year, I was actually pretty high on the Jags. I think I had them at 9-7 because they had a ton of talent. Jalen Ramsey, AJ Bouye, Calais Campbell, Yannick Ngakoue, a ton of talent. They brought in Nick Foles.
I wasn't high on the Jags last year because I did not like Nick Foles, which is funny. We're
I
kind
hate
of
Nick
flip-flopped
Foles,
here.
but he's good though.
So continue, though.
Yeah, so I thought they were actually going to be good because just look at that defense. It's so damn talented. Well, now they lose basically everyone as AJ Bouye gets shipped off, Calais Campbell gets shipped off, Jalen Ramsey gets shipped off, Yannick Ngakoue obviously demanding a trade. Really the only notable names they have there are their 2 rookies they took in the first round, and Calevon Chason and CJ Henderson, and then Josh Allen, who they took in the first round last year. When I look at their offense, I think they have some talented pieces. DJ Chark blew up last year. He's shown he's got some promise. D.D. Westbrook, I've honestly expected more out of him. I think he can do better. And then they bring in Laviska Shenault. Maybe he can make an impact this year.
He's going to get used like more than just a receiver.
He'll get used.
He should have more of an impact than a normal rookie wide receiver, but like who knows if he gets in the top. I hope they use him as one of the top 3 receivers because he is better than a lot of those guys, but who knows if they will.
I don't think he gets more of an impact than most rookie wide receivers this year just because I'm not a Gardner Minshew fan. I think he's very Andy Dalton-esque with a little more mobility to him. Guy isn't going to win you games by any means. I think he really has to be carried to wins. However, I do think he's okay with clock management and that. I actually do like Leonard Fournette, unlike you, Davey, but their offensive line is absolutely atrocious. Mm-hmm. So, this team has, I think, the least amount of talent in the whole division, which is surprising because I think they had the most amount of talent as of last year. But obviously with all the players getting shipped out, Telvin Smith not coming back, obviously. And
such a weird situation.
Yeah, it's really looking rough for these Jags.
I don't know. I'm leaning on the side of optimism with the team. Like, I mean, as optimistic as 6-10 can be, that's still like a bottom end of the league type team.
Yeah.
But I think it's enough where like get in on these. Like I keep going back to fantasy football because we're big fantasy football guys. Get in on these options in fantasy football. You're gonna get them at decent values, even if you don't love Gardner Minshew. Like you're gonna get him at the end of the draft. He's gonna give you that rushing floor.
Yeah, and Leonard Fournette's going in like the 3rd round or something.
Yeah,
so that late I take Fournette for sure.
Yeah,
like it's just asinine. And Tyler Eifert, if he stays healthy, like he has a lot of talent, and like that's Gardner Minshew's the type of guy who will use his tight end. Yeah. So like the options are there. And
so here's the thing. I know we always say, like, if someone's healthy and, we never are factoring injuries into our records and that. But with this episode specifically, with Tyler Eifert and then the other names you were mentioning, I think we can factor injuries.
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
Hey, Tyler Eifert was healthy all last year pretty much.
Because he was the second tight end.
But hey, he was healthy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So maybe he's going to be super healthy this year for the first time ever.
Maybe. I like Josh Oliver, too. So
I love Josh Oliver.
We'll see what he can do. But, the Jags are actually the last place team in my whole NFL. So, interesting, but hey, they'll rebound with Trevor Lawrence. So,
do you guys have anyone going 0-16?
I do not.
No.
Do you?
No.
I have the Jets going 0-16.
The Jets?
Wow.
I don't. They have too many opt-outs on the defense. Too many.
I get that, but
and I just don't like the Jets.
I couldn't believe I put them. I put them at 3-13. I couldn't believe that.
What'd you have the Patriots? Because they had the most opt-outs in the league.
They still got Bill. They got Cam.
Oh, where do they go? 14-2?
No, I don't have that high. I have them missing the playoffs too. I think. No, they make it. Never mind.
10-6.
9-7. I'm trying to find it. Hold on.
Man, this is why
I got them 10-6. Yeah, you're right.
10-6. Yeah. I had them at 11-5, so I have them a little higher than you do. All right,
Jeez.
That's interesting, David.
Yeah, I think I had them at 7-9. I don't know.
I have the Redskins going 0-16 as well. I have two
0-16 teams.
Yeah.
You know what? I would love to see it. That would be fantastic.
That would be something.
I'm having Lions flashbacks.
I had the Redskins go 1-15. That's my last place team.
Do you have any 16-0 teams?
No.
Okay, so you're not.
Yeah,
like
I'm not that biased. No.
You're not like Colin
So dumb. How you ever predict a team going 16?
He has the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
Like I can predict 0-16 because some teams are really that bad. Like the Redskins are borderline that bad.
Exactly.
But like 16-0, no, you're bound to mess up somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the
you
Ravens
listen-
going 14-2.
If you listen to the last episode
fine,
where we did the
honestly.
East, I had the Redskins at 2-14 as well. So they are my second worst team in the league, only behind the Jaguars. Let's quickly go over some MVP candidates and Rookie of the Year candidates for this division. We'll start with MVP first. Davey, you're up.
I mean, there's only one choice here. I'm sorry. I mean, Deshaun Watson, that's about it. I mean, no one else that could. I mean, maybe Henry, but I doubt he will. Just me being optimistic, but it's just Deshaun.
See, I mean, I obviously agree. D. Watts is my number one guy. If the Texans
It was
team,
hard to think of one. I just
like, honestly, if this Texans team makes playoffs, like it's because of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
It's because he had a crazy year.
that's
But-
why I don't like him because he said do every single thing.
Yeah, which is fair. And like I gave a list. I chose like for all the divisions. I wrote down 2 people from every team just in case I wanted to spice something up. And Derrick Henry was also
Yeah,
my
exactly.
number
The one
2.
two I had, yeah.
Yeah, so it's Deshaun
Not
Watson.
gonna happen, but
Yeah.
You're right. And Deshaun Watson, not going to be able to win it for me. They didn't make playoffs. So Phillip Rivers,
whoa,
he's coming out. I don't think there's, other than D. Watts, I don't think anyone's really capable of doing it. But Phillip Rivers, the turret, you can call him, because he's got a good arm. He's got a very good arm. Definitely top 10 arm in the league, I'd argue. And
But bottom like 1, he's worst mobility in the league.
no, Tom
and-
Brady's worse.
You know what? Give me Tom Brady because he's been hit so little in his career. I feel like I can trust him a little more running the ball. If Phillip Rivers runs the ball and gets hit, he might disintegrate.
Well, he's not going to get hit at all because his offensive line is very good. I think that's why he has a bounce back because the offensive line is so good. So, and I know you guys are seeing me look at my computer like I'm reading notes. There's no notes here whatsoever. I'm just looking at Indianapolis Colts 9-7, 4-2. I wish I had notes written down, but they're just coming to my head because I'm just that damn good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Phillip Rivers, let's see, I wrote a couple notes down here. Chargers had all the weapons for Rivers, but Rivers couldn't make anything of it due to the lack of pass blocking and lack of mobility. The Colts don't give him as many weapons, but they do give him a top 5 offensive line. Basically what I was just saying. So, I mean, he's my MVP candidate because he actually makes the playoffs, unlike Deshaun Watson. So that's what I do. Davey, Rookie of the Year, your thoughts?
we all know it's gonna be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but this is a different division, obviously. So
Yes.
I picked Jonathan Taylor. That's the easiest choice here. Best offensive line. He's got to go fucking ham. I think he's the most talented running back to come out of the draft, in my opinion. Do you guys agree?
Oh, he was my number 1
I don't
quarterback.
know about you.
I do not.
You do
I think
not.
DeAndre Swift's better.
Okay.
Which is fair, but
I think-
I just
And then
love
I had
that
Michael
much.
Pittman as my backup because I like him a lot too.
I think Jonathan Taylor's the best runner in the draft.
Yeah.
However, the best overall running back, I think DeAndre Swift takes that just because of his passing ability or pass catching ability.
But unfortunately, he's at the Lions, so I feel bad
yes,
for him.
that
but-
does drop him down a
Sucks.
couple couple notches for me.
Yeah.
Sucks. I'm a Lions diehard, and it sucks.
Yeah.
A waste of talent.
All right, Chase.
I'm not going to talk about Jonathan Taylor, even though he's my clear number 1 pick. I'll go with a guy on the defensive side of the ball who I think can win it, and that is Ross Blacklock of the Houston Texans. I think this kid comes in, day 1 starter, just tough for defensive linemen as rookies, but he can come in, really provide some pressure, do well in the run game, do well in the pass game. He's got the ability to be a day 1 impact guy and have a very, very nice career as a defensive lineman. So just since he went Jonathan Taylor, I'm going to lean Ross Blacklock on this one.
I think Jonathan Taylor is awesome, but Marlon Mack's still a great talent. He had over 1,000 yards last year, so
It's more of the offensive line than his talent, though. Like Jonathan Taylor is the far more talented running back.
I would agree.
Yeah, but Marlon Mack will still be used as the number 1, at
Yeah.
least for the first half of the season, I would say.
Exactly. So that's why I don't have him as my Rookie of the Year.
Which is fine. I get that.
I actually have C.J. Henderson.
I like that pick, too, though.
Because he's obviously going to be a starter for the Jags. They lost Jalen Ramsey, lost A.J. Bouye. They definitely needed help. They invested a lot of draft capital into C.J. Henderson. So I've got him for the fact that I believe he is the best pure coverage corner that got drafted this year. I think Okudah is a top 3 talent out of the draft this year. I do not see C.J. Henderson as that. However, I like C.J. Henderson's cover skills better than Okudah's as of right now. There was a lot of talk about C.J. Henderson even possibly jumping Okudah.
It would have been asinine, in my opinion.
Yes, but a week leading into the draft, a week before the draft, a lot of analysts were actually talking about how some teams had C.J. Henderson over Okudah. And Here's one reason that I think C.J. Henderson could come off to a hotter start than Jeff Okudah. The coverage skills are huge in the NFL, and if you don't have those coverage skills right away, you need to have really good tackling, obviously, and Okudah has that. So I think Okudah will be good. However, I don't think he really gets into the groove until the latter half of the season. He's got to work on the coverage skills just a little bit more because everyone's bigger and faster in the NFL. I think C.J. Henderson already has that. I think he's going to have a lot of pass breakups, a couple interceptions. I think he's going to be very good. I think he can have a Marshawn Lattimore impact season.
I know that's fair. That's very possible. And I like C.J. Henderson too. I would still obviously take Okudah over him. But like people got to remember, Okudah's just like he doesn't have a flaw in his game, which is why he's like the clear top 3 talent in this draft. Whereas Henderson might be the more ready guy. And there's people that like they're more ready, but they don't have the ceiling, so they don't go as high. They'll have that great rookie impact, then after 2-3 years, they're just kind of fizzling out because their body's worn down. Whereas someone taking a little bit higher might be off to a slower start and then has that longer career. That's kind of where these two could really be. So I do like that pick though for rookie of the year.
Absolutely, and to put it into layman terms, let's just go Madden ratings. These aren't official Madden ratings. I'm just making them on the spot just to show the kind of comparison that we're going for here. So if you take C.J. Henderson, say he's got 90 zone coverage, 90 man coverage, Okudah could have 80 and then like 70 as his lowest stat, where C.J. Henderson could have like 30 as his lowest stat. So he's really good in coverage, but he needs a lot of help when it comes to tackling and some other aspects of his play, where Okudah, he's very well-rounded, but he's not at that elite level where Henderson is with coverage. But he's going to get there, in my mind.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the NFC. This is the division I know Davey's most excited for. Your first place team. I have a feeling we know who it is, but
no, you don't. It's actually the Falcons. No, I'm just joking. It's the Buccaneers going 13-3.
Go home.
13-3.
They're gonna have a rough start. Obviously, they're gonna lose their first game against the Saints. I mean, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, obviously it's gonna happen.
They have the best wide receiver duo. They're really deep at tight end, and Tom loves his tight ends. And their defense is actually very underrated. Their defense is underrated as hell, I think, in my opinion. The last 6 weeks, they were top 5. They were top 5 defense. They're coming together.
That's fair. That's fair. And like I don't really disagree with that defense part, but
I know you don't like Tom.
I don't like Tom Brady in this offense at all. Tom Brady had the best offense ever written for him, and he was perfect for that type of offense. And sure, Bruce Arians is a good mind. I really like him as a coach, but can he just adjust an offense in year 1 to fit Tom Brady perfectly? Probably not. Like, he's going to love Chris Godwin, Tom Brady is this year. Yeah. But Mike Evans is going to mightily struggle. I keep talking fantasy, but I'm going to keep talking fantasy because that's what a lot of people will relate to. Yeah. He is literally on my do not draft list in fantasy. I think he could have, especially compared to like draft spot, he could be.
Where he's going now, I wouldn't take him that high.
He could be the biggest bust percentage player in the NFL in terms of fantasy football this year. I don't think that's impossible at all because Tom Brady just doesn't throw the ball like that anymore. Chris Godwin's going to be great. Mike Evans is just going to be kind of maybe third or fourth fiddle on that offense behind Gronk, maybe even whatever running back emerges, or maybe even what's his face, O.J. Howard. Like, I don't know. I just the team is just.
Well, I think if Tom was on the team last year, they would have made the playoffs, in my opinion, because Tom's not throwing 30 interceptions.
No, but he's also not throwing that many yards. I think he's throwing 2,000 less yards.
Maybe, but I think he'd be a lot better with it.
I think his run game is pretty bad this year. And
that's the biggest weakness I see is the running game. For
That's
sure.
brutal.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get more into the Buccaneers when they come up for me, but let's stay on track here. Chase, your number 1 team is obviously
Saints.
The Carolina Panthers. No.
Yeah, of course, Carolina Panthers going 16-0. But the New Orleans Saints are an easy 12-4, win the division, make the playoffs. This team, I really enjoy their offense. How's that for an adjective? Drew Brees is the most accurate thrower in the history of the league. There's a reason he's been so successful. He throws the ball so well. He's got a really sustainable play style where he can continue playing for years if he wanted to. And his offense is just built to succeed. Michael Thomas broke records last year. Those targets are going down probably 30 or 40 because Emmanuel Sanders is going to be there. Alvin Kamara is going to be healthy. And then Jared Cook should still be used as a tight end too. This offense has everything you want going for him. I like the offensive line. I really like the receiving game. And then the running game, with Kamara, obviously he's not going to be heavily running the ball, but he's going to get the targets. And Latavius Murray is still going to be a fantastic running option. So the offense is great. And then go to the defensive side of the ball. There's really no issues either. It's just this team's got everything going for them. They have the potential to go win a Super Bowl.
All those
easily.
weapons, but nothing to show for it every year.
Okay,
That's truth.
just wait for this year.
Tom had that, dude.
That's the unfortunate thing is
I like the Saints, though, yeah.
Yeah, I love the Saints, and I think last year I had them as my Super Bowl winner over the Chiefs, maybe. But anyways, Saints are my number one team, obviously. They are 12-4, just like Chase had them. I think the offense is a little more well-rounded this year because obviously it was very pass-heavy. I think Kamara gets a little more action this year. I love their defense. They've got great players on every level of the defense. And I think Drew Brees continues to play well. I don't think he takes a step back this year. He continued to break records last year, and I think he does so this year as well. So 12-4 for the Saints, and obviously a playoff team.
Yeah.
Davey, you're number two.
I have the Saints going 10-6.
Nice. Playoff team, I would assume.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, playoff team for sure. I mean, for all the things you guys said, they have a great offense still, all up and staying. No one left. Above average defense for sure as well. So
Right. All right, Chase, your number two team.
My
And
number
do they
two
make
team
playoffs?
is the Atlanta Falcons at 11-5.
What?
Do make playoffs.
I'm going home.
I mean, the Atlanta Falcons they had just a horrible year last year. Things just did not go right from the beginning of the year.
Chokers.
And okay, great, that happened once. And so they had a rough start of the year last year. They really started putting it together at the end of the year, and like they finally, God knows how long, have an elite running back. I know Todd Gurley's got the major injury issues, but if he stays healthy, he's like just a ridiculous running back talent. Give me Hayden Hurst's talents over Austin Hooper's talent every day of the week. Austin Hooper is a very average tight end who just saw so many targets. Hayden Hurst is going to eat those targets, plus get an extra 20. And Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, both have potential to be wide receiver ones in terms of fantasy this year. I think that's very much possible, if not more realistic than just possible. This offense has everything going for them, and as well as the defense, the defensive backs, in my opinion, they could use a bit of work, but I still like it enough where the offense is going to be so productive. It's just going to be hard to stop that momentum, and this team is just going to, I don't want to say steamroll the teams that they win, but they're going to win by some pretty decent margins.
The one thing with the Falcons, and I'll get more into it when I talk about them, but ever since they choked in the Super Bowl, they've been a very average team. They've not been the top team in the South since then, and I don't know. Matt Ryan has not gotten back to his MVP caliber, and the team overall just hasn't looked as good. So I'll get back to them, though, as my number two team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Hey, respect.
I'm not very happy about it because in my hot takes, I said I think they're going to be 500 or less, so 8-8 or less. But when looking at the schedule, I couldn't really not give them the record of 10-6, which obviously not as high as Davey at 13-3. But as Davey was saying, their defense has mightily improved. That was their biggest issue for 5+ years. I think Tom Brady comes in and he doesn't throw away games like Jameis does. They added a couple offensive weapons with obviously Gronk. They had Keyshawn Vaughn, and they also get one of the best offensive tackles out of this draft. So I think they do well enough to just sneak into that 7th playoff spot in the NFC.
Do you have them at 11-5 or 10-6?
10-6.
Okay, I was about to say 11-5 and just sneaking into the 7th spot. I was about to say that'd be crazy, but
Yes,
okay.
no. 10-6, and yeah, they're the 7th seed. So my NFC is pretty good.
Yeah, mine's the same way though. Honestly, my AFC, like the lowest seed to make it, is a pretty mediocre record.
Yeah. All right, Davey, let's now talk about your number 3 team.
I have the Panthers going 6-10.
Okay.
I mean,
You have the Panthers winning 6.
yes, I do. I do like Teddy Bridgewater. They got a bunch of offensive weapons, and I like their coach too as well. They're gonna be really good on defense, in my opinion. I mean, if we had like the normal off season, I think they'd be a lot better. But with COVID, it's not gonna be anything special.
But that
6-10 is not special.
No, but that defense doesn't have Luke Kuechly anymore. Obviously,
Yeah,
retired in
that
the
was a
prime of his
big
career.
loss. Yes.
It's so young, and defense defense is a really hard position to transition to in the NFL. So there's going to be a lot of growing pains.
Yeah.
And I like Matt Rule a lot too. I think he has potential to be a great NFL coach. But year one coaches, like there's a learning adjustment. They don't have a lot of success. It's very rare to have a lot of success, especially when you're inheriting a team that was very, very underwhelming. Christian McCaffrey was literally the franchise. Like he was the only person on the field all game.
They also didn't have a quarterback.
No, like that's fair, and I don't disagree. And I think Teddy Bridgewater
is a safe option. I think.
Like he's safe. He could be nice, but he's never gonna propel you into anything special. He's never. I don't think he's got enough to ever win you games personally. CMC does, sure, but the rest of this team is just no. It's just not it. I think they have one of the lesser passing attacks in the league. I just think they're one of the lowest scoring teams in the league.
Chase is a hater.
Yeah, I could tell.
All right, Chase, your number 3 team is obviously the Bucks.
Yes, it is.
Thank
At
God.
7 and 9. I was not putting them at 4th. That'd be ridiculous.
The way that he was just talking about
still,
the
but
Panthers.
he hates the Bucks even more, so I was nervous.
The Panthers are so bad, but the Bucks will not win a game this year. No, I have it at 7 and 9. Just like they do good in the division. They go 4-2 in the division. Honestly, like that's very possible. But I don't like. I struggle with year one quarterbacks. Because quarterbacks going in free agency to new teams, it doesn't happen that often, especially as starters, and they don't usually do that well. There's a lot of growing pains, and it's like with the Colts. I don't like Philip Rivers just going there. Even if Tom Brady is the GOAT, I still think that a lot of it attributes to playing in such a hard to predict scheme for so many years, and just being able to work with everything that he's got. I just don't think the offense is enough to get it done. The defense is what I think really helps them this year. I think that helps them win a couple games where the offense can still, but the running game is so horrible in my opinion. Yeah. And I really love Chris Godwin for this year. I like the tight end option, especially Gronk for 1 year. But Mike Evans is going to disappoint. O.J. Howard, I can't disappoint compared to last year. It's literally impossible. But he's not going to be a stud by any means. But he could be a very reliable option. But it's just not enough to put him over the hump. If Tom Brady goes and stays for another year, sure, there's a chance that I think he will as well. I think at that point they're a playoff team. Once the COVID offseason is done, he can really adjust. Bruce Arians can understand it a little more, and then they're better off from there.
But I think Tom's biggest strength is his mind. And he's able to learn all that very quickly, and he's been practicing since the offseason started.
No, I'm not really putting it on him.
He's breaking all the rules, learning the playbook, all that stuff.
I know. I'm not putting it on him per se.
I know. I'm just saying, I think he's gonna learn it fast.
No, I think it's if Bruce Arians can transition the right way, and if the players can go from playing with Jameis Winston to Tom Brady, even if Tom Brady's a significantly better quarterback, that's a huge difference to just transition to.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys saw the old post that Tom Brady made, or maybe a reporter made it from a quote that he had, but he basically said something I didn't really realize was how hard it was to read to learn a new playbook. Yeah. And then Josh McCown quote tweeted it and said, I guess I am better at him than something. So
that's fantastic.
Gotta love that. My third place team, the Atlanta Falcons, they are 8-8, 3-3 division record. Like I said earlier, this team has been very average since they absolutely collapsed in the Super Bowl. And I honestly think this is going to be the last year of Dan Quinn. He hasn't been able to get this team back since Kyle Shanahan left. And I don't think he does it this year either. I think they've got a lot of household names that are just amazing. Julio Jones, obviously. Matt Ryan. You got Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett. But for some reason, they always seem to collapse. So, not Julio. However, Julio can't score touchdowns.
Yeah, well, but that's not his fault. If you look at the numbers, the amount of targets he gets in the red zone, he's usually 4th or 5th on the team. It's ridiculous. He's probably the best receiver in the league, and you just don't throw him the ball at the end zone. Makes no sense. But on the whole Dan Quinn coaching change thing, I have them making the playoffs, obviously, but losing round 1. And I think last year's atrocity on top of losing round 1 in playoffs, I think that is enough for the coaching change, because they're going to kind of realize that it's just not enough to put them over the hump with the way the roster is. And I don't think it is either. I think they're just good enough to win the regular season. Then when it comes time playing a team at their skill level, they're just not going to be able to handle it. And we're going to see probably a major overhaul in that team. I think they have playoffs this year, and then coaching change, mass overhaul next year, and maybe see a new quarterback in that room.
I agree with the massive overhaul thing, not the playoff thing, because they do not make it at 8-8. But this team is in such a weird position, and I really feel for all the Atlanta Falcon fans out there, because seems like the Bengals are always trapped between this position and shitty. They never get to a Super Bowl like the Falcons did. But right where you guys are at right now, I feel sorry for you and feel bad because you have the talent there. However, you can't get it done. Once the coach leaves, you got a 30-year-old plus Matt Ryan. He's going to be moving on once there's a new coach. At least I think that's going to be the case. So really weird position for the Falcons. So I feel for their fans, and they're not going to make playoffs this year in my mind. Davey, let's now finish it off with you. Fourth team in the division, and that's the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep, and they're 5-11. I hate that they don't have anything at all at defense, in my opinion. And then they never utilize their talent at all on offense. That's what I see. They don't win. They do fantasy-wise for sure, obviously, but I'm talking about winning games.
They have a prolific passing offense. The running game has always been their issue because Devontae Freeman just likes to be
He
a walking
was
hospital.
so good. That's the first couple of years.
Yeah, but the last few years.
All his injuries.
Yeah, he's just been a cripple.
Yeah.
And if Todd Gurley, it's another thing if he could stay healthy. But Todd Gurley stayed healthy all last year.
Yeah.
So hopefully that light.
But he wasn't the same, Todd Gurley.
No, he wasn't because he got a really light workload because they were worried about him. So hopefully that light workload last year plus the light workload that they're giving him
What
in
is
camp.
his issue? They keep it quiet.
Well,
It's arthritis or what?
they're worried that the arthritis is going to be a now issue, but arthritis isn't something that's going to bug him for at least another 10, 15 years. Like, he should be fine. Like,
that's why I don't understand. It was very weird the way they handled it.
Yeah, it has some issues right now, but nothing that should really hinder him when you're that gifted of a talent that Todd Gurley is.
Yeah.
So if they just let him run, especially since he's kind of on this 1 year, it's a 1 year deal, isn't it?
1 year deal.
Yeah. Like
Just
just
run
let him
down.
run, and if you let Todd Gurley run, like we've seen what he can do.
I love Todd Gurley. I can't wait to see him.
He's my favorite
back
NFL player.
in the black and red.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
That's gonna look so good.
I love it. It's a great combo.
I have that blue and yellow Rams jersey. I want to get a Falcons one now too with Todd Gurley.
But their new jerseys are ugly.
I know they are.
I hate those fade ones.
It doesn't look good on theirs. I don't mind the fade. I don't think it looks good on theirs though.
I mean, at least they didn't do the absolute butcher job that the Rams did.
Let's not even
my
go
God.
there, dude.
When we start to see those in Hard Knocks, I think I'm just going to turn it off, dude. That's going to be terrible.
Yep.
All right, Chase, your last place team, the Carolina Panthers. Don't tell me you've only given them 2 wins.
I have only given them 2 wins.
Oh, my.
Why would I give them more than 2 wins? You know who their wins are against? Their wins are against the football team
Nice.
and then the Broncos. They're winning week 14 and week 16.
Okay.
This team, the defense is just too young. I think Matt Rule, I don't think it's going to be his fault. I think it's just going to be this team is just too young, too many growing pains, and then Teddy Bridgewater just not being anything special enough. I like Teddy in terms of a fantasy option yet again because he's going to have some rushing yards, you would think, but his passing game is going to be just so below average, easily below average. CMC is going to have to try to carry the load, and I know he hasn't gotten hurt yet, but I'm so worried he's going to get hurt. Who can handle the ball that much and not get hurt? It's insane. I know he's probably got this out of this world type of a body physique where he's probably doesn't have to worry about it. That's why he hasn't yet.
Probably similar to mine.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm really nervous that there's at some point where it's just gonna be too much and it's all gonna fall apart, and that could happen if he gets that type of workload again this year at some point in the season. This offense just is not enough for me to supplement how bad this defense is gonna be. Just not because they don't have talent, just because they're so young and disorganized.
Well, let me tell you why you're wrong.
Tell me why I'm wrong for your 4th place team as well.
Yeah, my 4th place team. I've got them at 5-11. Here's the main reason I have them this high, and I will scream it.
Don't actually scream
Matt Rule.
I love Matt Rule. I love Matt Rule. The most loved rookie quarterback I have had since Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has worked out.
Rookie coach.
Wasn't great in his first... Yeah, rookie coach. What did I say?
Quarterback.
Whatever.
Same
thing, right? Yeah. Since Kyle Shanahan didn't have a great first year, but then Jimmy Garoppolo, injury, all that kind of stuff. But he just took his team to the Super Bowl, so not too bad. I've got that much faith in Matt Rule. I think he's one of the best young defensive coaches in the league.
Yeah.
Going to be really weird to see a defensive head coach because there's not a lot of those around anymore. We see the best coach ever, Bill Belichick, a defensive coach. So
Second best, Matt Patricia, defensive coach.
Who?
Whoa.
That is I do have an issue. I like Matt Rule, and I think he's going to be one of those exceptions, but I think defensive coaches kind of just need to start
it's not
like
that
they're being
much.
pushed out, and they're almost a dying breed. Like I think he's got the potential to be one of those exceptions. But
The nice thing is Brian Flores is a defensive coach too. So if those two, Brian Flores looked phenomenal last
fantastic.
year.
He's one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, and he's a defensive coach. It's so
And then
weird.
I've got so much faith in Matt Rule that if both of those guys start coming up and start like proving their worth, and maybe we see more defensive coaches come back in,
And then we see a lot of flopping teams because that's not the way the NFL
like the
is.
Lions. Yeah.
Yes, actually.
But also, Joe Brady, if Matt Rule will
man.
just let Joe Brady run with the offense, like no input whatsoever from Matt Rule, because let's be honest, Baylor's offense wasn't great. They didn't have a lot of weapons outside of Denzel Mims, but not a great offense where Joe Brady obviously made a historical offense with LSU last year. Let Joe Brady run with the offense. Matt Rule, you do everything else, including the defense, obviously, and then it'd be good.
You know what the biggest blunder of this whole offseason is? The Bengals not hiring Joe Brady. Like,
No,
you
I
just
think
saw-
the biggest blunder was Matt Patricia staying on board.
No.
Yeah, one more year.
Okay.
I'm not
But like you just saw what he did with your like tremendous like rookie quarterback coming in. You saw what he
Why are
did.
you
and-
attacking my team?
No, because they're like easy to attack and they deserve being attacked. Because I think like, that was such
They don't.
That was such an easy, obvious hire for a team that had nothing to lose after the performance last year. Really, just hire the guy's offensive coordinator. He did so well. Similar weapons when it comes to the passing game and the running game as LSU, and based on like just pure talent. Do you disagree?
Zach Taylor's better, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay, well, regardless.
Who's the head coach right now? Enough said.
Okay.
And then I'll talk about the team as a whole. I've only talked about the coaching staff. That offense, if Teddy Bridgewater is the real deal, he's got it all there. He doesn't have a great offensive line, but it's very middle of the pack for the NFL, which is good enough. And then he's got the best running back in the league as of last year. I would take Saquon over him,
Saquon's the
but
best running back.
you know it's up in the air. He is definitely a top 3 running back in the league. You've got 3 great outside options at the wide receiver position with DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson. So he's got everything that he needs. Just will he step up? I don't know. That's why they're only 5'11". And also, the Carolina Panthers defensive line looks really good. Like, it's very young, but it looks really good and looks like it could be a top defensive line for years. And yes, they lost some big players like Luke Kuechly, but I don't know. Matt Rule, he's going to get it done.
I just
For
say,
only 5 wins, but
yeah, I was gonna say it's really not worth
6.
arguing like a 2-win, like my 2-win team compared to your 6 or your 5-win. It's really not worth arguing, and we all agree we like Matt Rule too. So this is a team I'll happily be wrong about the Panthers. If they do better than what I project them to, that's a team I'll be happy they did better as.
and I would disagree. I don't like Matt Rule. I love Matt Rule. So,
Well, you know what I freaking mean.
there we go. Let's now get into MVP and Rookie of the Year from this division. Davey, let's go MVP first.
I mean, you know my answer here. It's pretty simple. It's Tom Brady.
Oh, my. Did he just say that?
Yes.
I
I
have-
got the Bucs winning record at age 43.
Oof.
By the
Okay.
way, I mentioned I picked eight names for MVP, so 2 from each team. Then
Tom's not one of them.
no, he's one of them, but he is 5th on that list.
Okay,
I gotta at least put him
it's
in
not too
there.
bad.
Like, what 2 players would I pick from the Bucs over
Did he have
Tom Brady?
Todd Gurley over Tom Brady?
Yes, I
I
did.
did, yeah. That's rough.
Nice.
But like I chose Matt Ryan as my MVP favorite. It's him or Drew Brees. Either way, they're pretty close. So I just figured I'd go Matt Ryan for the sake of Mike probably picking Drew Brees.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like I figured just for the conversation, if this team does what I think they can do at 11-5, it's going to be on the back of a very great offense. Matt Ryan will go back to being the really consistent quarterback he's been his whole career, and Todd Gurley will have a tremendous rushing season as well as being a great receiving running back as he has been in his career. The offense is just, I think, really has potential to come together like a perfect painted picture.
Yeah, Matt Ryan hasn't done it without Kyle Shanahan, but it's possible. Yeah, Drew Brees, I think he is. Gosh, I just love that dude.
So do I.
I think he is probably my favorite quarterback of all time. Obviously, yours is Tom Brady.
He's probably like my second or third.
Yeah, Drew Brees is
You
absolutely.
can't hate Drew Brees. Isn't
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
And
He's
like,
awesome.
Yeah. And I was gonna say for like my top 8, the top 4 are like New Orleans Saints and Atlanta Falcons. So I have Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Todd Gurley, Alvin Kamara in that order for my top 4 from the division. Yeah. Just so you know.
All right, yeah. So Brees, my MVP We'll now move on to Rookie of the Year.
Honestly, it was very, very hard to find one in this. I put Keyshawn Vaughn just because Tom loves throwing to the running back, and
Right.
they have no one else. I mean, LaShawn McCoy did just get signed, so there's competition there. But honestly, that's the only one I could think of.
I don't know why people are so high on Ronald Jones this year.
I'm not at all. Yeah.
Like, I don't think Ronald Jones
They haven't done shit the past like 3 years.
he hasn't shown anything, and I don't think he's all that talented either. So
Yeah, all Ronald Jones has done is bust.
Yeah, I think Alec likes Ronald Jones, right? Or who?
Yes.
and so does Giuseppe.
I don't understand that. Yeah.
They're both. I feel like they're both kind of souring on him, but
Yeah.
All right, you ready for my Rookie of the Year?
Yeah,
I am.
let's hear it.
On the defensive side of the
Yeah,
ball,
do it, yeah.
Antoine Winfield
'Cause it has to be so.
from Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, like, this guy is got what you want on an offensive back. I'd assume he's gonna play more. I don't know if he's gonna play more safety or corner. I assume he's gonna play more safety than anything. But as a safety last year, playing for Minnesota, 83 total tackles, 3.5 for loss, 3 sacks, and 7 interceptions. And the Big Ten is not a high passing conference at all. So to have those types of numbers is pretty tremendous. He's someone who I love. He's one of my favorites for Rookie of the Year. He's probably a top 3 candidate for me for Rookie of the Year because I think he comes in and has such a ridiculous impact.
Interesting. I like Whitfield, and I think he can do some nice things with that Tampa Bay secondary, but we'll have to see. However, he's not my Rookie of the Year. Let me just yeet my Rookie of the Year out there. It would be Yetur Gross Matos with the Carolina Panthers. Here we go.
Derek Brown.
First, not even Derek Brown. The second round pick of the Carolina Panthers. They went all defense. I absolutely love it. Let's just talk about his story real quick, all right? Yetur Gross Matos lost his dad and 12-year-old older brother at only 2 years old. So what a great story of adversity to deal with and to come back and really make something of yourself. He's a second-round draft pick, and I think he's going to be a very good player in the NFL. The third best pass rusher in my mind out of this draft, only behind Chase Young and Kayvon Chason. And I think that he is a very complete player outside of needing to gain a little more strength. But he's a very lanky dude. He's very long, and I think he compares similarly to like a Carlos Dunlap, who has been a Pro Bowler multiple times. So
And it really works for the defense that the Panthers are going to run.
absolutely, and with Matt Rule leading the charge, and then having Derek Brown and K'Wan Short in the middle, and then Brian Burns on the other side, those are 3 big names. I think Gross Matos is going to be the least looked at, and that's why I think he can have a pretty big impact. So I'm very high on this defensive line and Matt Rule, obviously. So I think Gross Matos has a very nice rookie season.
And I already said it once, but I'll say it again. The Panthers are the one team I want to happily be wrong about, other than the Lions going like 16-0. But like being realistic, like the Panthers are the one team I want to be happily wrong about because I like Matt Rule. I like the what's the word I'm looking for? Crap. The weapons that are there, like especially defensively. I really like what could be done, but I'm just so nervous about it just because the whole group is so young. If there was a couple young pieces, like 1 or 2 young pieces, then fine. But the whole group is just so young. It makes me so nervous. But this will be a team that I will happily be wrong about, or I will very happily be right about.
Absolutely. All right, let's quickly recap before we end the episode. Davey, your only AFC South playoff team was the Titans, correct?
Yep.
And then Chase, your only AFC South playoff team was the Houston Texans.
Correct.
I had the Titans and the Colts making the playoffs out of the AFC South.
A lot of diversity there. I like that.
What's that?
A lot of diversity there. I like that. We don't get that often in these episodes.
good.
Yeah, for sure. And then the NFC South, Chase
thing
had
here.
the Saints and the Falcons out of
did.
there. Davey had the Buccaneers and the Saints, and then I had the Saints and the Buccaneers. So a little less diversity there, but still saw a little bit. So, all right, very nice. Davey, thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for
It
having
was
me.
a lot of fun.
Yes.
We got to talk a little trash and got to talk about my love for Matt Rule. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the AFC and NFC South. Our final episode of our 4-part series will be coming out next week, and that'll be the AFC and the NFC North. The big finale with the Bengals, the Lions, the non-16-0 Ravens, because we're not Colin Cowherd. And it's going to be a lot of fun, so make sure to tune in for that. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. And if you want to stay up to date with us, you can follow us at WNP Sports Pod on Twitter. And you can also follow us now on Instagram and Facebook. I will put those socials in the description, the links of those socials in the description for you guys. If you could, give us a like, a subscribe, and make sure to hit that bell for notifications. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, anything like that, please rate us 5 stars. We really appreciate you guys coming out, and as always, we're not professionals.